I never should have opened that diary. It was tucked away in a loose floorboard of my new apartment, a small leather-bound book with a tarnished brass clasp. I'd just moved in, eager for a fresh start in a city where no one knew my name. The apartment was old, full of the kind of character real estate agents love to talk about: creaky floors, drafty windows, and the faint, unplaceable scent of old paper and dust. Finding the diary felt like uncovering a secret piece of that history. The first few entries were mundane, written in a delicate, looping script. The author, a woman named Elara, wrote about her daily life in the 1950s. She described the changing seasons seen from her window, the taste of her morning tea, the book she was reading. It was charming, a quaint glimpse into a bygone era. I felt a strange connection to her. This woman who had lived within these same four walls so long ago. I'd read a few pages each night before bed, a little ritual to wind down. But then, the tone began to shift. It was subtle at first. Elara mentioned feeling watched, a flicker of movement in her peripheral vision that was gone when she turned, a shadow in the hallway that seemed to stretch and twist when she wasn't looking directly at it. She dismissed it as an overactive imagination, the old building playing tricks on her mind. I sympathized. I'd had those same feelings myself in the first few days. The unsettling sense of a space still occupied by its past. Soon, her entries grew more frantic. She wrote about a mirror, the large, ornate one that still hung in the hallway. It was a beautiful piece, with a heavy, dark wood frame. The previous tenants must have left it. It seemed too big and cumbersome to move. Elara wrote that her reflection wasn't always her own. Sometimes, for just a split second, the face looking back had a wider smile, eyes that were a little too dark, a little too knowing. She tried to convince herself she was just tired, stressed. But the entries became an obsession. "It knows my thoughts," she wrote one night, the handwriting shaky and panicked. "When I think of leaving, it looks angry. The eyes in the glass, they aren't mine. They burn. It wants me to stay." I put the diary down, a cold dread washing over me. I glanced at the hallway mirror. My own reflection stared back, pale and wide-eyed. It was just a mirror. Just an old antique mirror. I told myself Elara was unwell, that her story was a tragic tale of a mind unraveling. But a part of me couldn't shake the fear. I started avoiding the hallway, taking a longer route through the living room to get to the kitchen. I covered the mirror with a sheet. The diary entries got worse. Elara described sounds of soft, rhythmic tapping from inside the walls. Faint whisper that seemed to call her name when she was on the verge of sleep. I started hearing them too. At first, I dismissed it as the building settling, the neighbors, the wind. But the tapping was too deliberate. 3 taps, pause, 3 taps, and the whispers. They sounded like my name. Elara wrote about losing things, a favorite brooch, a photograph of her parents' small trinkets. They would vanish from where she was certain she'd left them, only to reappear in odd places days later, inside a shoe, at the bottom of the flower canister, or placed neatly on her pillow. Last week, my car keys disappeared from the hook by the door. I searched the entire apartment, growing more and more frustrated, before finally finding them inside the refrigerator, next to the milk. At the time, I'd laughed it off as a sign of my own exhaustion from the move. Now, I wasn't so sure. The diary's pages became filled with frantic, overlapping texts. Laura believed something, and the apartment was feeding on her fear, growing stronger with her anxiety. "It doesn't want to hurt me," she wrote, the ink smudged as if by tears. "It wants to become me. It's practicing in the mirror, practicing my smile, my walk, the way I tilt my head. It's getting better at it." That night, I couldn't sleep. The tapping in the walls was louder, more insistent. The whispers were clearer, a sibilant hiss that curled around my name. I lay in bed, paralyzed by a fear so profound it felt like a physical weight on my chest. I had to get out. I decided then and there I would pack a bag in the morning and leave. I wouldn't even tell the landlord. I'd just go. The next morning, I felt a strange sense of calm. The fear from the night before seemed distant, almost silly. The sun was streaming through the window. The apartment felt bright and peaceful. I made coffee, my mind clear. Leaving seemed like such a dramatic overreaction. It was just an old building with its quirks and a sad story from the past. I'd been letting my imagination get the better of me. I decided to uncover the mirror. It was ridiculous to be scared of a piece of furniture. I walked into the hallway and pulled the sheet off. My reflection looked back at me. I looked rested, happy even. I smiled. My reflection smiled back, but its smile was a little wider than mine. It reached a little too close to the eyes. And the eyes, they were my eyes, my color, my shape, but they held a cold, triumphant gleam that I had never seen before. I stumbled back, my heart pounding in my throat. This wasn't real. It was a trick of the light, my mind playing games after reading that horrible diary. I looked again, forcing myself to be rational. The reflection was normal now, just me looking scared. I let out a shaky breath. I was losing it. I needed to finish the diary, to see how it ended. Maybe Alara found a way to fight it, to get away. Maybe there was an answer in those final pages. I picked up the diary from my nightstand. There were only a few pages left. The handwriting on the last few was almost illegible, a desperate scrawl. "It's almost perfect now," she wrote. "It moves like me. It talks like me. I saw it today, not in the mirror. It was standing in the kitchen, humming my favorite tune. When it turned, it had my face. It smiled at me and said, 'Don't you worry, Alara. I'll take good care of our life.' I ran to my room and locked the door. I can hear it moving around the apartment. It's looking for this diary." The next page was even more frantic. "I have to hide this. Someone has to know. It's getting in. It's unlocking the door from the outside. But how? It has my keys. It has my face. No one will believe me." And then the final entry. It wasn't in Alara's looping script. The handwriting was different. It was neat, precise, and eerily familiar. I found the book. Silly girl, hiding it under the floorboards. She made such a mess of things with her fear. But it's all right now. I've tidied up. The apartment feels so much calmer. It's a lovely place. I think I'm going to be very happy here. My blood ran cold. I dropped the diary as if it had burned me. I looked at my own hands. at the neat, precise way I had just made my coffee, the tidy way I'd folded the sheet from the mirror. I walked slowly back to the hallway, my legs feeling like lead. I stood before the mirror, my heart a frantic drum against my ribs. I stared into my own eyes, searching for some sign of myself, some flicker of the fear that was consuming me. But there was nothing. The reflection looked calm, content. It raised a hand, and I watched, horrified, as my own hand rose to match it. The reflection then brought its hand to its mouth, pressing a single finger to its lips in a shushing gesture, and it smiled. A wide, knowing smile that didn't touch its cold, empty eyes. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. My own body wouldn't obey. I was a passenger, trapped behind the eyes of a stranger wearing my face. The reflection, no. The person in the mirror, the person who was now me, turned away and walked towards the kitchen to finish its coffee. A new thought floated into my mind, a thought that felt both foreign and my own. It's a lovely apartment. I think I'm going to be very happy here. And somewhere in the deep, silent darkness inside, I finally understood. Elara never left. And now, neither will I. The tapping in the walls has stopped. The whispering is gone. The apartment is finally quiet. It's perfect. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a diary to hide. Someone new is bound to move in eventually.